restriction enzymes, what you're going to need, you are going to need a little bit of space. So because our double-stranded sequence is a little long. So get yourself out some space. I hope that you have the nucleotide pack with you, because we're going to be using it today. So hopefully everyone has their pack. Let us know in the chat if you have it. If not, don't worry about it. We'll show you what we're doing. And you'll also need your cell phone. We always tell our kids to put their cell phones away, but we're going to bring that in towards the end of our session. So space, your cell phone, and your hands. That's it. That's all you're going to need. So hope we all have a little bit of fun. Thank you so much for joining us after a wonderful week of hybrid, remote. Who knows what we're doing anymore. So let's just have some fun with this. So restriction enzymes. If you guys want, there are, if you saw on the last slide, there are all of our resources will be available on 3DMD's website, but you can just take your phone and scan this QR code right here, go to this bit.ly, and you have all of these slides. So my goal with this is you want to be able to have your hands free and not be like thinking about or worrying about getting everything written down. So it's all here, all ready for you so that you can use it whenever you're going to use this. All right. Like I said, this sequence, it's a little big. So we already posted it in the chat, but here is this picture of this sequence. So if you do have your nucleotide pack, I'm going to put this as pictures on our next couple slides so that you'll be able to use it and be building while I'm talking. You know, time management skills right here, double whammy on two things getting accomplished. So start building your double-stranded sequence as we're going through kind of introductions. So, all right. Michael's coming on in. All right, so let's first start off with some of the whys. So the first one, why me? Like, who am I? My name is Diane Sigalas, and it is so great to meet you all and to be part of this with you. I am, like if you were here in the beginning, like I said, I am a biotechnology teacher, and I teach in Livingston, New Jersey. So what do I end up teaching? A little bit of this and a little bit of that. It's a really, really exciting course. It's a 2-year course. So the first year we do a lot about technique and we do a lot about skills, which is why these modeling activities are so integral to what I do, because it really gets them to understand actually what they're doing or actually what I'm asking them to do. So that is why I have fallen in love with modeling and with the different activities that we have with the CDM and with 3DMD. I am part of their cohort 2 of the Science and Ethics of Genome Engineering. The first course that I took with them was Modeling the Molecular World. So that is basically where I fell in love with this idea of how to model, because I was always, I mean, I was our kid that we have that just gets the straight A's and can like regurgitate back that information. But then the connections, like I always got my A's, but like, I guess I really didn't understand it. And it was that class right there, that Modeling the Molecular World, that really made all of these amazing connections for me and just solidified all of that information. If you have not heard of them before, this is hands down some of the best scientific pedagogy, professional development that you can get your hands on. So they basically have 2 kits that I would call their big 2. So the first one is their amino acid starter kit. This was the biggest aha moment I've ever had, literally ever. This one right here, I use all the time within my classes. Love this. The other one that I use is their flow of genetic information kit. Then there's a bridge one where you can connect the 2. Wham, bam, thank you, man. This is everything I do with what was my marking period 1 that has now, thank you, Rona, been blown up and thrown to shreds, but it's okay. But what I would like to introduce you with today is the biotechnology kit, which is, I would say, their big three. So we're all watching This Is Us and the Pearsons, and they have their, triplets, but this is our big three, and it's amazing because it allows you to do 5 different concepts, one of which is restriction enzymes that we're going to be covering today. So I see Diane said that there's some of us here from previous courses. These are pieces that you recognize then. These are kits that you've seen before. But now with this biotech kit, what it's doing is it's bringing in all of the different components together and allowing you in one kit to go back to that kit time and time again and be able to pull from this and be able to use this. It allows for repetition with the process, repetition with the pieces, so the kids really start to feel comfortable and really start to make connections in between the different practices that we're showing them. So today we are using the biotechnology kit, which is BTK01. In your hands, these little nucleotides right here, this is the nucleotide student modeling pack. And this is phenomenal. You can do so many things with just this student modeling pack. So it can do the flow of genetic information with your kids. We've shown you guys before how to do PCR, and now we're going to show you how to do restriction enzymes with this kit. So it is a big bang for your buck in terms of things that we can get into the kids' hands in this pandemic time. Think of it as like pandemically perfect. That's what this kit is. So my goals for you today, we're going to talk about restriction enzymes, and I want you to get excited about modeling because it's amazing. Our NGSS guidelines really drive so much of what we do. So if you need this to make it so that you can show your supervisor why this is important, here they are for you all lined out, and they're going to pop up in with the content. So you don't have to worry about this. You can easily show your supervisor, we need this. All right, restriction enzymes. We all do it. It's a painful lesson, but it doesn't have to be. So how many of you have an image that looks like this embedded somewhere within your slide decks when you get to this section? No, I do. But what I want to show you is a different way to do this. And what I want you to think about is, think about the way that you currently do this topic. How do you know your kids get it? What do you guys do? How do you know that they understand what they're doing? You can answer, you can unmute yourself, you can, Michael has this graphic that's amazing. You can put it in the chat. You can take yourselves off mute. You can undo your cameras. We're all friends. Hi, Todd.
Figured at least you could see my face.
Here we go.
I don't use, I don't go, my class is a very, very intro level class. So I don't usually go this deep into it because I see the issues with just showing this image. It makes no sense, but having something hands-on, I think I can do that. So that's why I'm excited about this.
Oh, absolutely. This, when I switched to doing this, the change of what my kids were able, like they had a light bulb. Instead of just like the death stares looking at the projector screen, like they actually were like, oh. So that is why this kid is amazing with this. All right. So then we have that AP lab that we do, and we have that restriction enzyme lab. And I took this, when I went in to get my C. elegans, I should have taken a picture of one of our gels, because inevitably, I don't know if I'm the only one. Now, the person that did the restriction enzymes or did AP in our class, she was like one of those like all-star teachers, like what I like want to be always. Even when Mary would run this, it would look like you like smeared. So the restriction enzymes, when it would run on the gel, it would be like, it might as well have been a bagel and cream cheese. It was just like a smear of like the nucleotide residues. So it never came out right. Like maybe in our class when we had like 6 or 7 different setups, maybe we would have one that we would be able to be like, hey, everyone, come around, let's see this one gel. So what I would like to bring to all of you is, with this activity that we're about to do, maybe this is the solution. And maybe this becomes, Todd, like we were just saying, maybe this is like the intro way. And if we do this first, this hands-on manipulation first, it'll make the lab, even if it is the bagel and the smear of cream cheese, like even then it'll actually make sense with what the kids are expecting to see. So this lab, if you are new to 3DMD, I just want to introduce you to these nucleotides that you have in front of you. So these lovely little pieces. So we're all used to this wonderful organization of our nucleotide and the orientation of our primes. What I love about this is it makes it into a schematic version that the kids understand and that they're able to see. So it simplifies it and enables us to really dig down to what's important. So depending on where you are in the year and how many times you've used these kits, they may be all right with this. Maybe you need to do a little refresher. I always do that refresher because there's always that one kid that forgets. So the 5' end is going to be the area that has like the space that's missing. Think of it, I always make them think about like, oh, phosphates got removed, so that is why it's missing. The 3' end is going to be where that hydroxyl end is, and that's going to be the kind of like pointed arrow section of it, because that is where the binding is going to happen. So it allows for you to differentiate what story you want to tell. So Todd, like you were saying, like it might be that you don't want to go to that nth level. You're still able to bring it to an area where they can make those connections and get up to that level because they have this kinesthetic activity for them. So here's our sequence. So hopefully you guys have it all set. We have it on our, are we ready to go? We have our, Chris should have given you a message with your restriction enzyme. You're gonna need that in a little bit. So you need your toy and you need your message from Chris. How I work this with my kids. So I'll start off giving them a picture and giving them, please make this, match this picture to your nucleotides. Eventually, I'll just be able to give them straight letters. And the more times that you repeat the process of using this model, the better that they're able to get at understanding Watson-Crick pairs, understanding the double-stranded nature, understanding 5', 3', and all of those wonderful things that we want them to get. The option here is always that you can save time by pre-assembling. And here's the trick. You put a little piece of tape on the back, and then even your craziest children cannot undo what you spent time putting together. So a little bit of tape on the back, biggest time saver right there. So let's get started with what our activity is. So you know, in terms of the biotech kit, what we are going to do today is the kind of like the culmination activity of this. So there are stepwise things that are going to introduce them to what restriction enzymes are, introduce them to the history of it, do a matching card sort. But this activity that we're going to do right here is the culminating activity of the restriction enzymes as part of the biotech kit that we were talking about before. So here's our sequence one more time. And give me a big old thumbs up if we're ready to move on with our activity. We good? We good? Heather's got a double thumbs up. There we go. The rest of you good? Woo! Awesome, awesome. All right. So let's consider our restriction enzymes. And remember, there are many different types. There's just a few in this chart. There are so many more different types of restriction enzymes that researchers will use to be able to dial into different segments of the genome. Our genomes are, and the genomes of model organisms that we use are littered, so to speak, with these restriction sites. Using different ones for different purposes allows us to target specific genes of interest that we want to investigate. So what we're going to do with our restriction enzymes, Chris should have messaged you with a restriction site. So knowing what your restriction site is that she gave you, can you find it in your sequence? So with this set of sequences that we have, can you look for your restriction site? And once you have found it, like Heather's showing in our overhead cam, can you make a cut in your sequence that matches that restriction site that Chris gave to you? So some of you will have sticky ends. Some of you will have a nice blunt cut. Thank you, Todd. Todd's holding it up. Awesome job. How are the rest of us doing? Did you make your cuts? Did you find it? Up. How they're showing where the blunt end cut is and the end. So there's two stickies and a blunt in here. All right. All right, so here's some thoughts of what I was thinking about. At the very end of our activity, we have a ladder that we're going to fill in the next slide. So there's a couple different options of what you can do here. You can pick one restriction enzyme and give it to your kids. You can pick two and see what would happen. Do you have a higher group that could do two different restriction enzyme cuts and digest your same sequence twice? Could you pull a whammy on them and maybe work with one that's not there at all and then really freak them out? You make it work for what your class is. And back to what we were talking about before, I truly think that this would be an excellent activity to do before the RIFLIP lab for our AP courses. It changes the lab from being one of discovery to being one of confirming and to really understand that application. So when instead of them just loading up a gel and turning the box on and seeing what comes out, it enables them to actually understand what those restriction enzymes are doing to the DNA. So they get a whole lot more out of it than some micropipetting practice, which is great. Don't get me wrong, love micropipetting practice, but we can do that on wax paper. Let's make sure that when they're doing this RIFLIP lab, that they really get what's going on the genomic level, what's going on to the actual DNA. All right, so here's where we're gonna have our phone. So find your phone. And what we're going to do is you're going to go to this website that is right up here. So this website here, why won't this go away? So you're going to go to Polleverywhere.com /Diane Sigalas 608. Oh, I should have cleared these. Hold on. My bad. We were playing the other day. Let's stop share. I feel bad. Hold on.
While we're waiting, can we have everybody hold up, whoever has them? Can we maybe see your section so we might be able to see some of the different cuts? Great. Anybody else? Okay, so we have two sticky ends. And you guys, which ones did you have? I think I was doing the Eco R1.
I had the BAM H1.
BAM H1, great. Anyone else have some nucleotides? And if not, we are posting in the chat where you can sign up to get your free student modeling pack. And I will talk about those for just a second while Diane's working on some things. So for those, that's okay. For those of you who don't know, over the summer, we created these student modeling packs to try to make some affordable options for you to have some materials that students would be able to model individually, either at home or in school. And so then we created the physical model, the student modeling packs, so that we could offer those at low prices. When you buy 10 or more of them, you get 20% off the list price. And when you can buy 40 or more, you get 40% off. And there are links so that you can see information about that on our chat. I'll let Diane take it away.
All right. Thank you so much, Heather. So sorry about that, everyone. We were playing the other day just to make sure that this worked, and I did not clear my Polleverywhere. So this is an application called Polleverywhere. So what it enables you to do is it's kind of like not Edpuzzle, kind of like Pear Deck, in that it allows you to embed questions in. But what I like about it, unlike Pear Deck, where you have like, it basically turns it into like a picture and then all of your animations go away. This enables you to still have those pieces. So what I would like you to do is when you go to polleverywhere.com/Diane Sigalas 608, that's going to take you and it's going to show you this wonderful picture. So you figure, using whichever restriction enzyme you had, can you mark down where your cuts were, or how many base pairs it was for you to make those cuts? So if you're looking at this, you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I would mark it at 5, but then I would also count this big old one and make another mark at where this big guy was. So I would have 2 pieces in my digest. Perfect. So some of you will have 1 band, some of you will have 2, some of you will have 3, all depending upon which restriction enzyme you use to digest your segment. And what I like about this activity here, now that it's working, is it enables us to take it from not just showing how the cuts are made, but extending that knowledge to now predicting what the gel is going to look like. So again, when they get to this restriction enzyme, when they get to that RIFLIP lab, that they not only understand genomically what's going to happen, but then they can make those predictions on what that gel is going to look like. So we got some ones coming in now. We've got some HIN3 because that was not in there. So the 3 that were in our in this sequence here was the BAM, the ECO-R1, and the HAE. So these were the 3 restriction enzyme sites that were in our sequence, giving us the different lengths of our digest. So I know we're not all in, but we okay? Okay with what our Polleverywhere looks like and kind of how we're going to extend it from making these cuts to being able to going onto a gel. Perfect. All right, so there's so much more that you can do. Again, remember, we are talking about the biotechnology kit. So we only showed you today restriction enzymes, but I promised you that there were 5 different concepts that you could address with one kit. So you can do PCR. You can do Sanger sequencing with this kit, which is another thing that always has hiccups with what they're able to understand. And it's always, they get it, but they don't get it. So Sanger sequencing is another awesome concept that you can hit with this biotech kit. You can do bacterial transformation. I do kind of a similar topic right before I do the bacterial transformation lab, because if I don't give them this support with modeling, they just don't understand what's happening in the lab in a real good level. They're great little cooks. They can follow the steps of a lab, but it doesn't, I don't care if you could follow the steps in the lab. Do you understand what those concepts mean and why you're doing those steps? So having these models support the labs are absolutely integral to my students' success in the classroom. You can see here there were different images that were going on. I had, oh, never mind, switching slides. That's okay. So all of these down here are some wonderful pictures of my kids pre-corona, you know, when we could, you know, go around a lab table and play with a lab kit together. So this is where they were actually looking through with PCR and really understanding what was going on. And what I can honestly say is working with these model kits, it provides such an increased and lasting understanding. When I started, when Rona was starting hitting and we were talking about PCR tests, my kids were able to ask really great questions because they had remembered what we talked about PCR when I did this a few months before. Again, before the pandemic hit. So it absolutely enables them to make these connections with what is going on in the world around them and with concepts within the class. My favorite one that my darlings asked me, why didn't we do this last year? Because I used some of my kids as my guinea pigs to make these lessons for this kit. And that was their comment. Why didn't we do this last year? I hadn't made it yet, my darling. I'm so sorry, but my little darlings. So just to recap again, because we're just about done. We're just about out of time too. We've been talking today about the biotechnology kit. So that was BTK01. This is the one that allows you to do 5 different concepts. So you're going to keep pulling this off the shelf again and again and again. The other one that you've been using is this nucleotide student modeling pack. Again, you can pull this off your shelf. You can have this, like I told you, it's pandemically perfect. Your kids can be using this from a central dogma with the flow of genetic information kit. You can use it with PCR. We just used it right here with restriction enzymes. So you can even still use this kit in so many different ways, which is something I absolutely love about the 3D-MD kits. Consider it like this: a big one for you and an at-home pandemically perfect kit for the kids. And considering now it is the pandemic, just some cleaning items. These are completely able to be cleaned. So it is okay if you are using them within the classroom, you can clean these and they can still utilize these from class to class. Again, like we had said, the at-home kits are perfect for the students that if you are in that hybrid or that remote setting, it is an item that they can take at home with them and still be able to participate and engage in hands-on modeling, even though they're not in your classroom. So all of these cleaning protocols are available on the 3D-MD site. They're also right here. They're also in your hands because you were able to get all of these slides all the way at the beginning. So I guess right now we got any questions? Restriction enzymes?
Thank you, Diane. That was great. And people can shout out their questions or post them in chat. And we're happy to show you other items or answer any questions you have about this or some of our other materials.
Thank you, Lainey.
So we are here and available to answer questions until about 3:45. Sorry, 4:45 for Eastern Time Zone. At that point, we will be ending this session. So if you want to come to our next session, which we really encourage you to, Chris Chow is going to be is doing our session with our chromosome connections kit. And so using models to make connections between DNA and chromosomes. So that is our next session that starts at 4:50 Eastern Time. And so you'll have to re-enter the session from the link on the NSTA page. So other questions or comments from anyone?
Hi, I have a question or a comment. I love the 3D MD stuff. I am teaching virtually, and I have been able to provide packets of things at my school for the students to come pick up. But a packet like this, a student packet like this, would be beyond my budget. And I'm wondering about the possibility of these things being printable, that I could print them on paper that would be just black and white, and then the kids would color them before they cut them out, and then they can cut them out as sheets of paper that I could just like regular copy paper. Is that
Dan, we do have some digital activities where they can actually drag and drop nucleotides on the screen.
Yes,
and so we didn't bring those up during this session, but when you go to our teacher resources page for the nucleotide student modeling pack or a lot of our other kits that have these nucleotides, you will see what we've already created there. And the great thing is those are editable, so you can create your own.
Super. You can't eat them though, huh? Okay. Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah, Dan, to that point, like I have some of their resources that they have in there. They have an amino acid one that goes along with the amino acid starter kit. It's great, and it's already in my deck waiting to go for my kids. So the new things that they put out are just really, really awesome and work to support what we're trying to do this year.
Fantastic. Thank you. That's great.
Yeah.
I would just like to add a comment here. I agree with Diane that you can do many different things with these nucleotides in addition to the restriction enzymes that she went over. So I just want to put in a plug for the CRISPR workshop tomorrow at 1, because in that workshop, I'll be using these same nucleotides to show you something about comparing these restriction enzymes with the CRISPR-Cas9 endonuclease. And the central question we'll deal with there is, what is a statistically unique site in the human genome, and how does Cas9 differ from restriction enzymes? I won't tell you I won't give you the answer now, or you won't come to the workshop tomorrow. But these nucleotides are really, really versatile. You can teach any number of things with them.
Tim, do you want to say anything about the summer course and
Sure.
other resources at the CBM?
Diane mentioned Modeling the Molecular World as the first course she came to, and we love all the courses that we give, but we give Modeling the Molecular World every year. It's a 5-day course. Unfortunately, it looks like it's going to have to be virtual this summer. But that's okay. That's why we're doing all these virtual sessions at NSTA. We're trying to learn how we can do these things in a more interactive way. So it won't be 8 hours a day on a Zoom call, I can tell you that. But if you sign up for that workshop, you'll actually get a big box of stuff, a giant box of all kinds of physical models that we'll be going over then during the course of this 5-day workshop. So we have been told by countless teachers, just like Diane, that participation in that workshop often changes the way people teach. It introduces you to a whole new community of learners. Lots of great friends have been made in that workshop. And then from there, it goes on to other workshops.
Okay.
Diane mentioned the
Thank you. I'm going to cut you off there because we're on a very tight time frame here. So we do appreciate everybody coming to this session today. I will be ending the meeting in just a second. I think it's right about now. So thank you, and I hope to see you at the next session.